Hey everybody, it's Kevin, a CPA that does financial planning, and I wanted to answer a question I got recently, and the question was, there's so much bad news right now, and that's going to continue to drive the markets lower. And so I wanted to just use a couple of items here to share with everybody that it's not always the news that drives prices lower. Sometimes it's because prices are lower that we start hearing more bad news, and at least we start noticing more bad news. Charlie and I can tell you that we hear every year, every day, we hear something positive and something negative every single day. If you watch the news, read the news, whatever, we see something positive and negative all the time, and there's reasons why the market should go up and down. So anyway, let me prove a couple using a couple of items here. So the first one is the New York Times article. And this was written by Robert Shiller, and he says, since the stock market began falling at the beginning of this year, there seems to have been a palpable change in the stories we have been hearing. Suddenly, there is more willingness to entertain the possibility of a major stock market correction or an economic recession. So if you've been noticing, there's been lots of negative stories this year as well. And the reason I say as well is because we sit here in December 2018. This article was written in 2016, in January. Now, what are some of the stories about why the market was down? It was China and U.S. relations and issues with China. Does that sound familiar? I think it probably does. But what Shiller and others that are quoted in this article say is that many times it's the prices that actually create more negative stories. Human beings, we want to understand, why is this happening? So let me share something with you that I looked at this morning, which I found, again, kind of amusing. Maybe you won't. But at 8:41 this morning on CNBC app, and I like CNBC a lot. I'm not putting them down for any reason whatsoever, giving them some free publicity here. But it says that oil prices were down 0.88%, or a little less than 1%. And the story here says oil prices steady as China-U.S. trade tensions ease. And the reason why I took a snapshot on this on my phone was just a little bit while earlier, oil prices they really were just even. And now all of a sudden the prices went down and the story did not change. So let's look at the next, it's about 13 minutes later. Now it's gone even more red. It's over 1% now. And now the story says oil falls as global crude stockpiles remain high. So oil falls now because global crude stockpiles remain high. Well, this was actually a story from Monday of this week. This was not a story for this morning. They have this story that's always plugged in, and they vacillate back and forth on the headline. And they put new things into this as new stuff comes out. So let's see a little while later. Ooh, the market is positive now, but it still says oil falls as global crude stockpiles remain high. Same thing as before. Prices reversed in the markets. Story hadn't caught up yet, but as you can guess, it finally caught up at 11:06. Oil prices rebound on report of bullish U.S. stockpile data. Did this data come out this morning? No, it came out yesterday. But since the price was up, they put the story to match the price. And then finally, we see the final one is that oil rises on hopes that global supplies will tighten. On hopes. So again, if you click in here, oil's gone up now 1.68%. There's got to be a reason for it. The hopes that they're talking about was in another article written a number of days ago. I don't know if it was Monday or if it was last Friday. But again, just beware that human beings, we want to have a reason why prices go up and down. And many times the media will supply us with a story, because if all you see is numbers are meaningless. The stories and, spinning a yarn, these are things that will hook us. So the major message here is just to be careful when prices of whatever you own go down. You will not only notice the stories more that are negative, but they'll be much more believable. When prices go up, once again, you'll be hearing, or you'll be really seeing the good news. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope everyone is well.